what is love addiction? First of all, sometimes a person might ask, why would a word like love, a beautiful word like love, be paired with such a word like addiction, something that causes all these problems in a person's life? First of all, love addiction has nothing to do with love. It has nothing to do with love. Love addiction is more like an attachment to something that a person just feels like they can't get out. For example, I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions. Just a few questions that, and perhaps you can decide if you struggle with this problem. Do you find it hard to focus because of emotions related to the relationship? Difficult, painful, like stress related to a relationship? Have you ever reached a point to where you had to call in for work or avoid school because of issues related to the relationship? Have you found yourself remaining in a very destructive relationship no matter how much you don't want to be there? You know the relationship is not good for you. You know that it could be killing you. You may even be developing some physical problems, but you feel like you're stuck and can't get out. You feel cornered, like there's no way out no matter what. Do you find yourself wanting to get revenge, or you have attempted to get revenge, or you have done some things to get revenge? It may or may not lead to legal problems. So many people with addictions might sometimes find themselves in trouble with the law. When it comes to addiction, any type of addiction, that we call it drug of choice, or whatever that object is. When we're looking at love addiction, we're kind of looking at a love object. Whatever it is or whomever it is comes first. They come before work, they come before family, they come before health, they come before maybe even you getting your rest. A person might neglect some things, especially if the relationship is ending or it looks like it's going to end or it has ended. If a person's been in a love addicted relationship and then the relationship is no more, that is devastating for the love addict. The love addict might lose sleep. The love addict might get sick. The love addict might not be able to get out of bed, may not be able to function. We call these withdrawal. Just as a person, an alcoholic goes through withdrawal, a love addict goes through a withdrawal as well. They even feel it physically. We've had people say that withdrawal from a love addicted relationship is worse than withdrawal from heroin or any other type of drug. This drug withdrawal has nothing on this relationship withdrawal. So do you find your thoughts preoccupied and almost in captivity? It's like you have no control over obsession, thinking about this issue over and over again. Sometimes a love addict analyzes an issue or over and over again. They'll say, maybe I should try this, maybe I should try that, maybe I should try that, in spite of sometimes years of attempting these same behaviors. Even if the other person, a lot of times we could refer to it as an avoidant, and I'm going to discuss that in another video. Even if the other person is present, shows up, does the things that they say they're going to do, is available physically, spending time emotionally there for the person, the love addict that hasn't resolved this issue of love addiction might still do some things to sabotage the relationship, to sabotage their future, because they don't trust that. They may not trust that. There's still this empty hole. There's still this void in their heart, in their life, that says this can't be true. This can't go like this. They're still clingy and needy. The love addict is the one that might send these long texts over and over again. And if there's no response, they escalate the intensity. So the love addict might look like a drama king or queen, Oftentimes, if I have a couple in front of me in my practice, one of them is off the scale with anger and expression and frustration and maybe even rage, out of control. And then the other person's sitting there calm. And they're like, see, and I tell you, this person was a nut. Look at them. You know, that's kind of how the dynamic goes. The love addict is usually not the only one that's doing some things to sabotage the relationship, or that is not doing some things that do not contribute to having a healthy, joyous, harmonious relationship. The love addict isn't the only one. So I don't want to communicate that the love addict is the only one that's sick. As in any type of addiction, and those that love them, there are two parts. There is usually a dynamic. You know, if you have a love addict that changes and tries to do what they're supposed to do and not act out in some of these crazy behaviors, then the person they're with, I mentioned avoidant, might do something to kind of stir things up. All of this might be unconscious. Both individuals admit to wanting a happy, joyous, harmonious, fulfilling relationship, intimacy. The problem is both of them have issues that works against intimacy, that prevents intimacy. Both. If two love addicts meet, one of them is going to start running. I call it a runner pattern. The love addict chases and chases. They're preoccupied. The avoidant runs and runs and runs. So, one last thing. This is a physical phenomenon. There are physical chemicals in the brain that's contributing to this. This is a biological phenomenon, just as in most addictions, any addiction, especially substance dependence. It's an addiction. An addiction doesn't mean the person has to not be responsible. It doesn't mean the person is not responsible for their behaviors. An addiction means that the person is going to have to take some steps, some extra measures in order to keep those behaviors under control. The person's always going to be susceptible to these behaviors if they don't do what they need to do to keep it under control. So just as a diabetic needs to eat right, maybe exercise, do some things to keep it under control, it's the same thing. The love addict needs to do some things to keep it under control. This issue did not start as an adult. This issue started a long time ago. So there are chemicals as the brain was developing. If a parent was what we call unavailable, the parent may have not been in the house. Either parent. The parent may have been in the house, but there was no emotional time. They weren't there for the child emotionally. The parent just may not have provided what the child needed. The parent may have been physically abusive, physically, emotionally, verbally. Whatever it is, they're not there. There's no intimate relationship. So the child does not learn how to attach. We call that an attachment. That's another video I'll do about attachment styles. The child does not learn how to develop a healthy attachment with people. Sometimes a love addict feels very disconnected from people in spite of being needy and wanting attention. And, the love addict will go to any lengths. When we see a love triangle or we see a homicide, suicide on television, on the news, we see love addiction almost every night on the news. That's kind of how it might look in its extreme. It's on a spectrum. But in its extreme form, the love addict will do anything, even if it means risking their lives, in order to try to get their love object to be there for them and do what it is that they want them to do. The love addict wants closeness, intimacy, love. They want a connection, but don't know how to do it. And they will hook up with people that don't know how to do it, that don't know how to give it to them. And that person that they connect with and that object of affection will prove this over and over and over and over again. So there's an illusion. this person, the love addict, will put these magical qualities on the other person. You know, they might complain to friends about how bad that relationship is, about problems, and then they might go, he did this, she does this, she does this, she does this, but I love him. That's kind of how it goes. No matter what happens, I love her. And there's this loyalty, which we learn when we're younger. We learn to teach people how to treat us. That is a learned behavior. You learn, you teach people how to treat you. That is your responsibility, and that is no one else's responsibility. You're going to teach them that you need to yell in order to get their attention. You're going to teach them that it's okay for them to be a doormat, for you to be a doormat, and that they can run all over you and you not say anything and shut things down and withdraw and be quiet and not speak up and have your voice. We teach people to ignore us. We teach people to use us. We teach people to disrespect us. We're all responsible for having boundaries, having limits, saying this is enough, this isn't okay. And we have our own internal boundaries as well. Are you being loyal to your own values? Oftentimes a love addict is not. What is it you want? What is it you do not want? What is it you believe in? Do you believe in respect? If you believe in yourself, believe that you deserve respect, respect yourself, you have this self-respect, you have standards, you have morals, you're going to automatically demand this from others around you. It could be a romantic relationship, it can be a coworker, it can be a family member, it could be a child, it doesn't matter. You're going to have these limitations. There has to be a limit as far as what you're going to deal with and what you're not going to deal with. There has to be a limit as far as how close you're going to be to a person. You might be very, very close to one person. You might be comfortable. It may be safe where you're not going to be abused or you're not going to be disrespected. But the next person, you might not be as close. You might need to visit for an hour, 15 minutes. You might need to go to that family event for 15 minutes, or days might be okay. You might need to be on the phone with a certain person for 5 minutes and then that's it, or 10 minutes, or 30 minutes, 45 minutes is very comfortable, given that it's give and take, which is usually which is a standard for a healthy relationship. Give and take, there's balance. Norepinephrine, endorphins, serotonin, dopamine, they're all released in this person's body. It comes through the brain when the love addict meets a person. They may meet the person for the first time for 15 minutes and they go home and they're dreaming about the children. I wonder how our kids would look. I wonder what kind of dress I'm going to get for my wedding. They may not be able to sleep. They are high, excited, telling people about it. Oh my God, I met this person. This is the one. This is the one. This is the one. They're wonderful. They're perfect. They may have known them for a week or two. This is the one. This person is perfect. They're engaged after a couple of weeks, 6 months even. This is the one. This is it. In spite of a person saying, the feedback might be, look, this person lives on the other side of the country. You never met him. Or you've only met him once or twice. Or you've never met this person's family or this person's friend. Or you've never gone to their house. You really don't know them. So true love gives a relationship time to grow. True love gives a relationship time where you want to see the person in various settings. You want to know how they handle stressors in their life, how they deal with family, how they deal with themselves. Do they take care of themselves? Do they have boundaries? So there's a list of healthy relationship strategies. One of them is straight talk. Do you have the ability to talk straight, to say exactly what you mean and what you need and what you want? Does the other person have that ability? Commitment. Do that person really have the ability to commit? Do you? When you meet a person and they say, they're, let's say, 40 years old, 45 years old, or 50 years old, and they say, I've never been in a relationship no more than 3 months. I've never been in a relationship no more than a couple of weeks. Those are red flags. Or a 30-year-old. I've never been in a relationship. Those are simply red flags. When you meet that person, say, I never found the one. I've never found this person, and they're 45 or 50, and they just never ran across the one, someone that meets all their traits. Sometimes a person's standards are unrealistically too high, or sometimes the persons have simply done some things that were not conducive, or that were not conducive to a healthy relationship, or the person may not have had the ability to recognize a healthy person, because we will draw people into our lives based on where we are mature-wise. Emotionally mature is what I mean. Are you mentally mature? So those are just a few traits of the love addict. So to sum everything up, the love addict will do whatever it takes to keep that person. They will break up families, they will break up marriages, they will break up relationships, anything to keep this going. The love addict is in a lot of emotional pain and turmoil. It is very difficult or almost impossible for them to really feel a true connection or true intimacy with the person. And lastly, there are chemicals released in the brain that makes the person high. There's a chemical called phenylethylamine, PEA for short. When a love addict meets a person, they're high and then they crash. And then they're high and then they crash. And then once the newness wears off, that's when the panic starts, the fear of abandonment, the loneliness, the emptiness. And then here we go. Again, be sure to subscribe. Hit that red button here if you're on YouTube. Leave a comment about this. Whatever comments you want to leave, I will respond to them. At least I try to respond to comments. Also, hit the like button if you like this. If you didn't like this, hit the like button. Dee Gardner with Gardner Counseling Services. Thank you.